And we didn't realize you're supposed to, pick those off, which we are trying to do like a no pest. Like we don't want to do any pesticides or anything like that. So when we finally figured it out and we got them all taken care of, we ended up doing a little bit better, but they pretty much ate our tomatoes. So last year, I mean, even with the tomato worms and the blossom rot, or I think it's what it's called, they didn't do bad. I mean, the steak, like the big meat tomatoes, didn't do good, but everything else did okay. So I'm not going to complain too much. Okay, so I'm going to start 2 on this tray, and then I'm going to do probably 4 on another tray, because I want to have at least 6 tomato plants. So, I mean, 6 of each for the most part. So 1 and 2, 1 and 2. Okay, and there is another tray done. I'm going to put these back in here for just a second, and I'm going to grab this tray right here, and I'm going to just do these 4 on the end. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I am going to label these as soon as I get these seeds in here, because if I don't, I'm going to not have any idea what is going to be planted, because tomatoes are kind of easy to tell, like, oh yeah, that's a tomato plant, But some of these other plants, like when they start, like, growing, you can't hardly tell what it is in there. And, some people recommend, like, the plant starters with, like, the big fancy dome. And, we move our table up against the window back here behind y'all and just leave them in the sunshine and just mist them with water every day. And all of our plants grew last time. We did, we put a fan on them, and then, oh, okay. If you don't know, make sure you know this, because this is really important. When you get ready to take your plants from, like, an inside environment to go plant them outside, you need to do what's called hardening your plants. You take your plants outside, like one day you go take them outside, you put them outside for like 2 hours. You bring them back in the house. The next day you take them outside for 4 hours, and then you bring them back. And then the next day you leave them outside for 6 hours, and then you bring them back in. And then the last day you leave them out there for like 8 hours, and then they should be good to go, because we didn't do that. We did not do that the first time we tried to plant seeds. We just took them outside, and then they all died, and we were like, what in the world? And then, we learned that, you're supposed to harden your plants. So if you didn't know that, you do now. So yeah, I'm just going to write steak tomatoes on these really quick before I forget. Steak tomatoes. Steak tomatoes. Steak. So, I haven't done an update just yet on the goats. I'm going to do one later this week. But just a kind of a sneak peek. The girls did not have their kids yet, which it was kind of an up in the air thing anyways. When we bought Dixie last October, she came to us bred. They had put her in with their buck for a couple of days before we had come and picked her up. And so I think just the stress of, we're coming to a new farm, being bullied by everybody else, I think she ended up just not, retaining that breeding. But then we saw Persia and Pocahontas had started, humping each other basically. And they were acting like they were in heat. So we were like, okay, well, we definitely need to put them back in with our bucks. We don't want to not and then miss, them, getting bred all together. And so we went ahead and we didn't want to leave Dixie out by herself, because it had been about 3 weeks after we had gotten Dixie. And so I was like, okay, well, if she kids in March, then obviously she was bred by the buck in October before we bought her. If she kids in April, then that means that she was bred by our buck Aladdin, and she will kid she was bred in October, she'd breed or be due in March. And if she was bred in November, she would be due in April. So I do believe her and Pocahontas both are due in April. I did see a date, November 17th. I saw, Aladdin was really, really interested in Dixie, but I never actually saw it happen. So I was kind of like, well, maybe, maybe she wasn't. Maybe she's already, been bred. But I'm pretty sure now that November 17th is when she was bred by Aladdin. And so that makes her due date in April. I don't know. I have it wrote down. I'll have to look and see the exact date. But as far as it goes for Persia, I don't think Persia is going to be due until May. She's just not bagging up yet, and she would be due April 4th, which would be the very first one to be due. And she is 6 years old, and this is her for sure fourth kidding. So she should be, bagging up and everything, and she just isn't yet. So I kind of was, thinking maybe she was not bred, but then I ended up, I was able to, reach around her, like on her right side, like right above her udder, and I did feel, baby's kicking. So I'm just thinking it's not going to be till March. Okay, so back to the actual garden stuff, which we're going to do an update on the goats later this week because we have a surprise. Yay! We got a new goat. And you guys are going to love her. Oh my goodness, she is gorgeous. Anyway, back to the planting. We are going to do, we already did okra, we did all of our tomatoes, we did our peppers. Okay, so we are going to do cucumbers. And cucumbers is another thing that I want a lot of. I want a lot of cucumbers. I want to be able to eat them fresh, right out of the garden. And I want to pickle them because we are some pickling fanatics. I mean, not that we pickle a lot, but we like to eat pickled, pretty much everything. Pickled eggs, pickled okra, pickled cucumbers, which are just pickles. Anyway, but I use these four for the steak tomatoes. I'm going to use the last 6 in this row. Actually, you know what? I lied. I'm going to use the last 6 in this row for squash. And then we're going to use an entire tray for the cucumbers. That's how many cucumbers I want. Anyway, so we are going to look up squash. Squash, it says summer squash, 3 to 4 weeks before planting, and 1 inch. So I'm going to say, give or take, that's about 1 inch. And I'm just going to make sure I get it nice and deep. Okay, and I am just going to put 1 seed per pot. If for some reason they don't germinate, then we'll just plant some more, because we should be able to, they germinate with squash. 3 to 6 days, yeah, so within 3 to 6 days, if they're not germinating, then we'll plant some more. That's another thing about this guide. It tells you, like, when to expect to be able to start seeing, seed sprouting. And so, yes, you can read the back of your packet, but like these that we got from our feed store, the River Valley Seed and Feed Company, they don't really tell you how long it's going to be until they germinate. And so, it's like a guessing game. But with our handy dandy seed starting charts from Living Tradition Homestead, we can just look it right up. And it's so nice to be able to say, okay, look, here it is. Find it, read all about it. And I mean, they do suggest using a heat mat, but I don't, we're not going to do that. It's just because we don't have a heat mat. We probably need to get one, but we don't have one. So I'm going to write squash on these. Squash. And I'm just going to put an arrow. And then I'm going to write squash. These. Okay. Okay. Next is the cucumbers. Okay, like I said, I'm going to plant an entire tray of cucumbers. And it says cucumbers, cucumbers, 1/4 of an inch. So we are going to do 1/4 of an inch. And I'm going to only do 1 seed for a hole. One, and one, and one. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna put these back, and they will generate or start growing. You should see sprouts within cucumber 3 to 6 days. So like I said, in 3 to 6 days, if I'm not seeing sprouts and everything else is sprouting, for sure within 7 days, if I don't see a sprout, but there are other sprouts around those that have sprouted, the other seeds have sprouted, but this, say this one has it, but the rest of them have, then I'll just replant that seed. And they can just, more, the other seeds obviously will be a week more mature than these next ones, but with as long of a growing season that we have here in Arkansas, that's fine. 1 more week, that'll just give us a little bit of a break on harvesting. Okay, so there are all of the plants that we are going to, or the vegetables that we are going to plant this year. We are going to be planting green beans, but those you sow directly into the soil, or you plant soy. You know what I'm talking about. You plant them directly in the ground. And so they are going to be planted in 2 to 3 weeks from now, directly in the soil. And then what else are we going to plant? We're not going to be doing carrots. We might do some pumpkins. We haven't decided yet. I know the kids really want to, so I think we are just for fun. Because it would be fun to be able to grow your own pumpkins and then come, October, September, be able to carve, pumpkins that we planted and grew here on our farm. So yeah, but aside from that, we are kind of transitioning, if I can talk, into a keto low carb lifestyle. We started it at the beginning of this year, and we really, really liked it. We got over, the keto flu and everything like that, and then it was expensive. It was very, very expensive, because you primarily only eat cheese, vegetables, and meat. And, we felt amazing. I lost a total of like 10 pounds. Corey lost about 15 pounds. But it was expensive. And with Corey being the sole provider for our family right now, we couldn't stick with it. But we do want to get to where we are growing our own vegetables and we are raising our own meat. And, when the goats all, start producing, we can start making our own cheeses and eventually get to where we are living self-sufficiently. And then, we want to go back to the keto lifestyle because, we felt great. We lost a lot of weight. And it was really nice to kind of get back to the basics and just stop eating all the junk that we eat. Corey quit drinking soda. I don't like soda. I only drink milk or water. I've always been that way. I'm not a really big sugar person, but my thing was like grabbing some potato chips and eating them, and so, we're not going to be planting potatoes. We're not going to be planting carrots. We're not going to be doing, planting beets or, all of those other, high carb vegetables. And so, we are going to just kind of stick with these low carb vegetables. And so eventually we can transition into, a complete keto lifestyle. But like I said, it's really expensive. And, but if you get to where you can grow your own vegetables and raise your own meat and make your own cheeses and stuff like that, then it becomes inexpensive. And not only are you able to know exactly where everything, that you're putting in your body is coming from, but you can grow it all on your farm or, your homestead or whatever you want to call, your area. I think we're technically a farmstead, because we not only grow things for ourselves, but we also, distribute things to the public. Like we hatch our, chicks and we sell them. We sell baby goats. Vegetable wise, we're going to be keeping all of those ourselves. So technically, if you look up the definition, we are considered a farmstead. I know I'll refer to us being like a farm, a farmstead, a homestead. Pretty much, you guys know what I'm talking about. You know that we are living a more traditional lifestyle, whether that be, you want to call us a farm, a homestead, or a farmstead. But technically, we are, if you look at the definition, we are a farmstead. Okay, and so that is all of our vegetables. We are done with those. I am going to plant some flowers. Oh gosh, way back in, Bo was 5, so 4 years ago. What was 4 years ago? 2020. Bo's very first ever 4-H meeting. He got some like a marigold seed. I think they're called marigolds. Hold on. Don't take that for my word. Let me look. I think I have what they're actually called. Are they marigolds? No, that's not those. I want to say they're called marigolds. Don't take my word for that just yet, though, because is that it? No, that's not it. So they're not marigolds. I lied. What are they called? Hold on. I know I have some actual seed packets, so I can figure out what they're called. No, I don't. Oh my gosh, I can't remember what they're called. Oh, what are they? I don't know. I can't remember what they're called. I'm going to have to look it up, and I'm going to have to tell y'all next time because I can't remember. Anyway, so Bo's very first 4-H meeting, they did like a little cute little, they drew, like colored a greenhouse, and then they like put a little Ziploc baggie on, and they like stapled it to it, and then you like taped it to the window, and they used like a little piece of a sponge, or technically it was cotton balls, and then, these couple of seeds in the Ziploc bag you taped to the window, they like sprouted, and then you planted them and stuff. And so we have these that we've saved seeds from those, which I'm going to have to remember what they're called. That's going to drive me nuts. But we've saved seeds from those, and I want to plant some. And so I don't know how deep we're going to go. I'm just going to use my finger and just, stick them in there. Gosh, I can't remember what they're called. I'll have to look it up and figure it out because that's gonna drive me nuts. Anyway, so we're gonna plant those, and we're gonna plant a couple more seeds. I'm just gonna literally label them Bo's flower. Okay. But anyways, I don't want to make this video too long. So I'm going to go ahead and, plant these seeds off camera. But we'll come back on a different day and kind of, show you guys how they're doing and stuff like that. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of go over what herbs we're going to be planting as well. Okay. Ta-da! Okay. So herb-wise, we are going to be planting, hold on one second, if I can get this thing open. Ta-da! Okay. Okay, we are going to be planting garlic, rosemary, oregano, basil, cilantro, thyme. I want to plant some lavender, some parsley, some dill, and possibly some sage. I don't know yet. I'm going to go through all these and kind of really decide what's going to be best. I might honestly pick like a handful of these and only plant, a couple of this year and then maybe try, plant a couple next year. Just so that way I'm not bombarded with all, like for sure I'm going to plant some dill and some parsley and some thyme and probably some cilantro. And then we'll probably plant those 4 and garlic 5. We'll plant those 5 this year and then we'll save the other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for next year. So that's what I'm going to go with. So that way I can do 2 of each and then that will fill up the other 2 planters. And then I will pick some flowers to fill up this one. But anyways, thank you guys so much for joining me today as we, kind of plan out our garden. I know it's kind of been scatterbrained. I've never been the greatest at, planning. Anyway, like I said, if you guys are interested in getting this seed starting chart, it is a PDF that you can download and then just print off, and then I just put it in a little folder in some of those little like sleeves, so that way it won't get all dirty, because obviously, my hands are gross from playing in the dirt, and I don't want to ruin this paper. But anyways, I downloaded it off of their Etsy shop. Living Traditions Homestead has an Etsy shop. But they announced at the beginning of the year, this year, that they are also selling it on their website. And I believe if you buy it off their website, they just get more commission than they do, selling it on Etsy. So I would suggest you go ahead and go to their website and buy it off of there. I don't know exactly what their website is, but I want to say it's like livingtraditionsHomestead.com. I'm sure if you literally just type in Living Traditions Homestead, it's Sarah and Kevin, you should be able to find their website, and then, I'm sure you can find somehow like the directive where you can actually buy stuff like this. But anyways, thank you guys so much for joining me today as we get these seeds started. I will bring you guys back later, probably a week or 2 when they start to germinate and kind of show you guys how they are doing. And then I will see you guys later this week as we give you guys an update about our goats. Until next time, we'll see you later.